I am not a financial advisor. These videos are all meant for educational purposes only. All complete Trader Academy videos are my personal opinion and perspective. Trading carries a high level of risk, and all results are your own responsibility. Please always demo first. Hey everybody, welcome back to CT Review. Today is April 23rd, Thursday, 2026. Hope you had a good day today. So we discussed a couple things. Well, generally speaking, being bullish, but you should see what Asia did yesterday, as you obviously already know. It ended up pulling back and getting out to that breakout area here, which is down by this breakout imbalance. You have liquidity there, and it's a breakout area of the previous day's high. So we had that understanding. This would be like in a really bullish scenario, right? And then you see Asia, London kind of portrayed like higher highs and higher lows, even after a dip back. But what did it do? It came out all the way deep. But watch how it looks like on the grid. Look how it looks like, baby. Look at this. So we topped out yesterday. We gapped down. Boom. Came to this 8. So rushed right to it perfectly. All right, comes right back to this 16th right here. I'm sorry, that's a 32. To this 16th, but the general gist was this 25% level because it's a big figure on the grid, and then empty imbalance right here. Wicks, no bodies. That's showing you coming back to what? Get the buyers here that were automatically watching this and buying from here. So you're getting these higher lows here. The difference between today and yesterday is very key because once we, you keep going up, you have the risk of having a even news event like they did with Trump today and talking about what did he say? I don't care how long this war takes, and he says, tells the army to tells the boats to shoot somebody and this and that, and then all that's giving commands around this area right here. So we understand that, right? But like the difference between yesterday and today is, which is pretty obvious, is that you're not getting this right here. See this when we got that stupid reversal yesterday. Not yesterday, the day before, sorry. And then we made higher highs and higher lows, kind of made a base and then shot for an expansion. Well, they came to take out that liquidity. But when you get this at Asia, this is now showing, let's put it this way. They don't have a choice. They don't have a way to get us off their dick as well, right? So this is what they do with this major sweep. Not a major sweep, but a bigger house cleaning sweep, okay? Because this, they can't get any lower here because now we got people who are selling here. So they rush back up and they rush back down because of the buyers. Now, when we get here, it's like, okay, well, they want to get here the whole time, but they don't want to make it obvious. So it's a sell model, of course. So you have the original consolidation here, you break out, and then you have this higher high and higher low. This whole structure here, all right, is like phase one of that sell model, and then it makes a high, and then once it raids, because now we have a raid, and look at this, all day in the price action we're leading up and we're buying here, but now by the time London closes here, we're now finally above that high, right? Plus with this low, which I'll get into, there's so much to say, but the logic is this price action here is that you wanted to see that more. That's exactly why I drew it this way, where you'd want to kind of see it. We obviously know that we can have what do you call it? Speakers up top, which this is what they were developing here. So, anyways, with this sharpness coming to there, coming to this 16, back to the 25. Look at, oh shit! Watch this fire. Watch this fire. Boom. 8th. Coming in here. Boom, boom, pop right here, squeezing out, getting that guy right there, that little high right there, right? See that? Bouncing. We're bouncing here, and we're making the higher highs and higher lows. This structure here is also a common situation where you'll get a, let's just say a low from here, high from here, a low from here, an internal high and an internal low. But notice the flow here, right? You see that? So we understand this much. Now, the setup is that. Now, what happens after that? Does this continue? Or does it fail and raid? And that's exactly what they did, especially on a Thursday, especially with it being so tight here, right? With the way they did the higher lows. Right? So it's obvious, but you also don't want to fight the trend. So we have that both working for itself. But watch this, watch the fire. So we pop up right here, and then we're using this 8th. We finally take off. Boom, baby. No one has this on earth, this chart, and can show you this. I promise you, beautiful. Look at this. sweeping that guy. Look at this is a 5 minute. So look at the bodies now sitting right there. That's why when I take this buy from here to here, this is to let you know, okay, hey, we made that high and we hit this 32, but I'd like to get to this 16th, but look at the bodies. We know that this is a possible situation. Plus, then you got news going on too. So does it make sense? We obviously know. Doesn't mean like we're trying to catch the tops or anything if selling this, but at the same time, we're not fighting the big higher time frame trend. So, but general speaking, you can see it breaking down. You don't want to see it come back in here. You want to see it leak and above, like what day was this? Yeah, yesterday. Here, yeah. When we took the buys here. See the difference? Watch when we break out through this breakout right here. So solid candles, right? And then we took the buy, sell, buy, right? Remember? Gave you a dump pump. Now today was a dump pump that reversed and failed. So in that case, but my point is look at these candles. Look at the actual candles here. And then look at this. Very small, very few, right? And it's leaking, but we just took the high out. So we never even broke out yet. See this right here, you broke out with it. So that's different. Here you're not breaking out. Look at the bodies stopping on this chart, buddy. You can't make this up. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the bodies. Close. Opens. Closes. Opens. Bro. You don't play with that. Look at this. Comes back in. Puts an internal swing. This is a breakout area. So once it came below, it's selling underneath. Now this is a big figure. This level is a complete 2 standard deviation above. I talked about this yesterday, which we actually hit yesterday, actually. So, which was also a target. But the point is that you came underneath it now. Look how we sweep above gently, which is from this, not the high, but from this level specifically. Look how we leave it. And then we come here and we sell off from that 32. Now, obviously, you know, if it's not going to continue up, you have to be flexible and know that it can come down. Fine. Even if you're still buying this and you see it coming against you, can you flip? Yeah, well, you have momentum candles on a 1 minute, which I'll show you in a second. You had the 930 that it sold from. And before I get there, I'm just going to use this chart for now. Where does it go? Straight, obviously, for that pool right there. And then you have this pool here. And then on the higher time frame, not higher time frame, on the opening range gaps, you'll see, besides this liquidity that I'm highlighting at this moment, you'll see the opening range gap from yesterday, which was here. See this right here? Opening range gap empty. That's only 50% of it was filled. Remember that? And before I even continue, before I forget, this also dropped right back to Wednesday's first imbalance. Look at to the tick. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, right there, buddy. And you got the 25%, right? You got the 25% of the top opening range gap. So when it hits that, that's letting you know it's going straight smack into it. And that's coupled with, look at that algorithmic level. I can't go into detail with that for you, so I can't. You're gonna have to do your own research and back testing. But that happened, right? That happened there. Plus, that's an all-time high right there, which was going to be talking about Tuesday's all-time high. So point is, when we left here, look at this, back to this, we came into it, little speaker here, coming right back to the 16th for a second, just for a resistance, and because of we have a breakout area, but they can't go all the way up, so they don't want the buyers in here, and they want to keep that and save that and add liquidity before they ram it back. Well, that's why when it's coming down, if you're not in this sell, you have opportunities for the sell. But when you obviously it's end of lunch too, and 1 o'clock starts. That's the time specifically in it. Shoots then shoots down. So that's that's not random. Anyways, hits this 16th and then shoots down. Boom, closes on this 8th. Perfect. Opens, shoots to this 50, and then we also have now the 50% of the current week gap, and my level that I mentioned was going to be most likely important on the way back down, coming down, which is the inefficiency. Remember, it has zero price action. There's a gap right in there. I don't usually talk about I usually talk about these days gaps, right? But the thing is that you have to be flexible and remember that that's the situation and possibility. So what is this model here? Well, this model here is well, the speaker that came down. But once it gets down here, you can see that we're tagging this level. I'm circling it on purpose, all right, with the gap that's there to the left and the sealment and you know, that breakout area of the all-time high. It's in the green there. And then back to breakout in the middle. This is a mean reversion play coming right back in. Plus you have this scenario where this comes in. It's a nice candle 2 reversal, 3 retraces back in side. That's how I buy this. It makes a low, it makes an internal high, and it makes a higher low. So you'll see that on the 1 minute here. So low, this candle shoots up like strong, engulfs, and if you watched it, you knew what time it was. Came right back and made a higher low. It's the first higher low. Talk about this all the time. This is on a fib, whatever, a 70 for most likely. I'm using this whole narrative and confluence with this conversation in this area. I'm not worried about it coming here. I guess it could have, but because of the constant selling here and people just blindly selling, and this is easy to sell if you just don't fight it, and obviously you can sell from up here. That's what I'm saying is that you're going to come back and eat this in the middle. You have to, because this is easy selling. And then obviously coming back in here. But beautiful. Look at this, how it reverses on there, shoots up. Look at where it goes. Hits the 25% and closes back in the middle. This is a 30. This is a 64th in the middle. Anyways, bounces right there on the 16th, shoots right back. You can see it. Boom. Look at this. Leaking. Boom, boom, boom. Wanted to reach back into here for the more breakout level. That was more fair for these guys right here. On the 1 minute, you'll see that this here is, oh, sorry. You can see this here. So this right here, you can see is empty. Look to the left here. Look at if this guy bought here, look to the right. Did he give him a chance to get out? That guy, yeah, but when it broke through, it doesn't come back in. So that's why you see us rushing back up into what? There. X marks the spot. As soon as they did that, they got to come back and get these higher lows that were taking them there. Right? So, and I'm using all that with this grid here to come up. Logical. I'm only drawing this circle. This buy, I don't need it to go above it. I don't need it to, but I want it to come in here. Why is a minimum here? Because this breaks out here. Boom, breaks out right there. Look how we snap right to it. By the way, that's that same 25 level. Anyways, that's extra tidbit. But the point is that we leak up with some drives, right? So beautiful, beautiful buy right here. And then, well, I'll get into this because this is fire too, but wanted to just go over this real quick as you see that. So now that you've seen this in the background, this is very key here, by the way. Oh my God, it's just beautiful. It really is beautiful. If you make it like that, you know what I'm saying? Like you understand that the market provides. You understand that that, you know, it's not random, and that's in your favor. So here's the buy here. Difficult initially. So right now we got the higher highs and higher lows. I gave you that conversation here. So we come in, here's an inversion. They do want to just squeeze out the buyers here. This wick ends up getting used in the AM session for pretty much support in a sense, right? So, and it's in a sense, it's also a down candle in its own right, because it's wick. Sorry, here, hold on. All right, so we come in 9:30, we shoot down, and we hit this 25% of that gap. Okay, I ain't gonna go into that. So shoots down, this is your dump and then your pump, in general speaking. So after the dump, you get a buy, sell, buy, right? You get that, right? Sealing the opening range gap here. And then also, we also had inefficiency up here where there was no price action delivered, still empty. You can see it here. Just like what I was saying down here. All right, so you see that from there to there. I could circle it, but I'm not going to. All right, so that being said, that's the understanding of coming up initially. And plus the all-time high as well. Okay. And then, hold on a second. And then, so what does it do? So you see it extend to this 25, snaps back. It's playing around here. It's being very, very difficult. This is telling you already that they're on some bullshit. So, and this is also telling you that, hey, you want to be conscious of them doing a sweep. Notice how they don't do it first. That would be kind of too easy and obvious. All right. So that all these sellers will be in the money. So they didn't do it here first. So what do? They came in here and then the bodies are not. Look. The bodies are not inside the lower thirds. All right. The only the top 25% has a body in it. Just pay attention to that. Comes up. I use this as a first imbalance today. And then we close above here, comes back in, and we're using it. All right, you got to include the gap. That's why it looks funny like that, you think? And then these last three down candles, we're digging into it in a sense as an order block, right? So we come up and we squeeze right here. So we take this first buy. Then it starts to come back against really deep, obviously on bullshit. So very high resistance. So that's giving you the key of it being the time of the day. You understand that, okay, all right, dude. Well, we know what you're on. You're on some bullshit, right? So it's different than any other day, any of the other days in a sense. Except for that news on Tuesday, right, when the Fed talking. But so, okay, this is in that same scenario. So what does it do? Shoots up, and then you get an inversion. I didn't draw it, and then this one. This, you should not get it if you're selling. I'm sorry, if you're buying. You shouldn't see this. So it retraces deep. Where does it come? It comes to the 50 of that wick. And then, well, here it snaps first here to the 25, and then it snaps to the 50 and snaps back. Again, only bodies up here. So it pushes back up. All right. And then you think, oh, it's going to roll over. It's going to roll over. And they get everybody selling. And then they first go up. So it's a buy, sell, buy. So you get the low, you get this high. Does this low right here take out that low? No. Does this low take out that low? No. Are those higher lows? Yes. Okay. So if that's the case, we understand this is an easy run up here. Pushes up. And you might not be interested in selling. You're only looking in buying. You're only looking for sales and waiting. Okay. So if you didn't take these, and you're taking them up here, right? But now you're going against the trend. Let them show you that that's the case. Okay. So come up here, comes down, and then makes another higher high here, and then basically a higher low. Real deep again. Very difficult. Top 25%. And if you put an eighth here, you'll see it hits the eighth perfectly. Oh, that's not random. So, by the way, so is that one, by the way. If you put an eighth right here, I'm not going to put an eighth. It's just too muddy on the chart. All right, pushes back up. Look at this right here. Look at the bodies now. So bodies here, and then bodies here. Now they're not inside it at all. Leaves it, gone. To get it in balance here. Down candle, we tap in it, no bodies here. Pushes up, retraces back, same place. Okay, same imbalance, no bodies. Look at the bodies not inside it. But now we're in this first imbalance that I'm using here. It's debatable if you wanted to use this one or not, but I just use this one. And the thing is that this is with the 930 level, so I'm just basically kind of looking at it like that, the 930 level. Once we come down one more time outside the 930 level because they're sweeping it again for buyers. Once they leave it, they're gone. They're not coming back for a moment. So once it's gone, it's leaving, right? You have the body staying inside that first imbalance. So yes, it's in the lower half, but I mean, it's the narrative is in play of what we're discussing here. And then you'll see we buy up straight to seal the opening range gap plus that little high. That's why I have this little circle here. Notice we tag it first. Why did I put that circle there? Well, you know why I put this one here. For the 50%. So at minimum, I want to take this trade. I want to see it hit to the 50% of this gap. That's fine. That's a kosher trade right there. Even though this is extremely difficult and tough. I'm not saying you had to. I'm just saying, right? But that's that setup there. And then with this circle here, you can see that we get into that inefficiency that I talked about. That's a minimum. Notice how they tag it first. They do that shit on purpose. They tag it to be fair, and then they rush down to get the buyers here. All right, high resistance. So this price action is way too deep and strong, closing over these bullish imbalances. That's not what you want to see. You want to get a new high first. You want to mosey up on your way. That means it's not trending as you think, right? Okay, so then it breaks down, and we discussed this already. So, anyways, coming back up, we seal it here, and then this is that 114 and a quarter. That's that big figure number that I have been mentioning from here that we've been hitting here. It's 114 and a quarter right here. See that? So that's that big figure that I talked about on the 2 standard deviation of the range. Very powerful. So, and after that, you can see I'm highlighting the 144 and a quarter. 144 and a quarter. So 144 and a quarter. And that's right above that all-time high that we made yesterday as a high. Okay. So coming up, that's what this is. See, this is what you want to see if it's trending and buying. Initially, this is what you want to see first. You don't get that here. It phases right here. It's already too deep. You can see that we already came all the way deep, but that's fine. And then it rolls over. You see that, right? So here, that's the language. Very clear that, you know, it's giving you the buy here. Now it's trying to trap buyers here. But the key levels are what I'm talking about. Now we get to this area here. You can see that the possibility of it, if it keeps going up, what's the next level? 174. Over here, you had the 203.5, which would be right here. I'm talking about the 16th and the 8th. That would be above price. So this the 16th and that's the 8th. That's the 32. This is if it was the average daily range and it wasn't going to rug pull, then the average daily range would be 350 points from the low, that current low that we made here in this stupid drop right here. From here at 350 points plus, it would be around this area. So you have that coupled with that and the 0.25 of me saying, okay, I have this projection right here, 0.25. If it wants to extend, that would be kind of like the best case scenario. That's why it's in blue, because I would like to, obviously I'd like it for it to go there, but it is a very high chance that it won't go there, right? Why? Because of the rug pull of this liquidity. We understand that this liquidity is here. Then misses it. The 5-minute situation is now going on here with the bodies. Okay, and you don't want to see that if you're buying. Okay, so guess what? What does it do? Comes down and breaks this low. That's a break of structure right here, but not really that important. Makes a new high. Finally get a final raid, trapping the buyers, and then you get a closure below here. See this? This right here, now this is the all-time high to the left, and this big figure here that not big figure, but that solid rock right there, ceiling, I mean, we're underneath it. And look at the bodies stopping, tagging into a reversal candles, a balanced price range of a bullish imbalance and a bearish imbalance. That is a very high probability of reversal, just like it did, kind of like this guy right here. See that? I didn't draw this. I'll do it now. And then that's an inversion here. You could have used the bearish one, but look how it's 50% right there. So X marks the spot with that understanding. Look at the bodies. They're telling you the story. You don't want to see this if you're buying, first of all. And you also now have London close. So with London close, it's like, okay, dude, we have a high risk of getting back into especially here with the breakout area right there, bouncing right on top of the 50%. You see this when it's buying right here? See that? So that being said, and do you want to sit through a retracement? Do you have an understanding that it's on an overbought and it's possibly that it's going to be coming back in for the higher lows after 10 o'clock? All right, this all after 10 o'clock right here. You see that? So beautiful sell model, even right here fractally on a smaller time frame. See that? So what does it do? It starts coming down. You don't want to see this if you're buying. It's over with. It's made the drives, 3 drives for the lower low, then retraces back for the lower high. It's failed. If you're thinking buy, sell, yeah, you could have bought this and sold this and bought this and sold this and bought this. And if it failed, here's what I mean. When this price action is happening here, knowing that we're in the scenario of the macro conversation, we know that the news, I think he said that shit around here or something. I want to say he said it around here. But and then so watch this. So it's popping up here. All right, look at this. This obviously fails as an inversion, comes back. All right, this is an inversion here. Bounces on it, and then watch this. This price action right here. Oh, doesn't go through. Wicks It's sweeping outside the gap, opening range gap, comes back for another lower low, another lower high. You don't want to see that. That's descending. That's not ascending, right? That's what you want to see in your ascending. Does that look like that? No. So notice how the bodies now are not anymore outside of the today's gap. Look at the bodies right there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Then what does it do? Gives you this candle. Oh, yeah, you're not buying. Comes in for the last call. You have the bearish imbalance here, and you also have the macro kicking in with the 1 o'clock. Look at the 1 o'clock. So 301's here, and then 302. I'm sorry, 3 o'clock's here, and then 301 is right here. Boom, shoots down. Right, see that? And then anyways, comes down. So this is where I said, okay, so the whole conversation is, are you going to come and grab this or not, buddy? All right, right? If that's the case, what does it look like? Right here, right here. All this right here too, technically, but let's not even say that, but here, especially here. Focus on here. Why? What I mentioned here with the bodies, and then when it's sinking down like this, you can push sell at any time, but most people won't, so they're getting FOMO. But what happens here? This is a mitigation block right here. See the bodies right here? And if you drag this out, you can see the bodies there. You see that? So what is that doing? It's giving that person the opportunity to get out. So it comes down, and this is a lower high. It's a control of price. You're gonna constantly not go above these levels once we now cross over 930. Look at 930 here. Sorry, 930 here. See this? As soon as it made that lower high, boom, that's a little swing, tags in a little bearish imbalance, and then once 930 snaps and closes, it's gone. So I'm on lunch here. I'm even pushing sell right when it crosses over, because I was like crossing over at lunch from here. I was like, dude, are you serious? And then what's it called? Shoots down. You get the drives, right? See all these drives here? Hold on. You're attacking all this liquidity here. See this? To the left. And then there's a little speaker here. Comes up and tries to pop up one more time. This is the next controller price right here. See this guy right here? See this? See this little guy right here? See how it fans that way? See how it fans? And it pops in and it stays right there. I'll just do it like this. I won't do the open because you won't see it. But you'll see it happening there. And then hold on a second. And then here, in general speaking, you're in this wick. All right, so notice how that it doesn't go above that high, right? So it's digging in that little miniature auction there. They do this to kind of confuse or whatever, and now they're going to then rush for the rest. Because look to the left of the chart, that hasn't happened yet. Look to the right while I'm hovering at the first imbalance of Wednesday. We weren't. It didn't rate it. So all that price action right there is some fake support bullshit. Ain't nobody trying to buy that right there. That's fake. That's fake right there. See that? All this is fake right here. All right. And then it rolls over and rushes for everything I just talked about to the left here, beautifully. And then one candle, 1 minute candle. And then after it hits that, it comes right back into squeezing, comes a little more for extra measure because this is what they really wanted to do. And then they have to rush back down to here. And then we're just kind of going sideways, coming back up. So beautiful shit, man. I mean, where could you have found a trade? How many setups did you see? And this right here is just on some next level shit, bro. This is just, look at this, beautiful, beautiful, man. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Boom, bouncing on this 32. Look at, boom. Now it's going. Where do you think it's going? Where do you think it's going? Okay. And then VIX also bullshitting here. And then this is when, what's it called? What's his name was talking all that shit on the news. They're using, now it's amazing. Now they're actually, I've never seen this type of awesome manipulation. And this is not awesome in the sense that, you know, it's messing up the trading as far as holding and making it really kosher and easy and simple. But on the flip side, which is the first time, and I've traded many all-time highs. That's why this conversation is based off of that too, by the way, of all-time highs. You expect to see some type of manipulation like this, but they're even using him on the news, you know, tweets. They're using him just to be able to sweep this right here. If that's so-called the case, why would you be buying up here right now? Just think about it. Anyway, like I said, this play was a meter version. Nice speaker there. That was one of my models there. So, you know, where was I? I'm sorry. So, you know what I'm saying? It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. And it's sad that they have to even do that. It's like, wow, they can't even justify it any other way, huh? That's awesome. So that's what explains this stupid push up in VIX and then coming back down, right? That was your little threat. And then, oh, now we're not scared anymore. Okay. So, and then dollar also, I was mentioning yesterday about a decoupled market where dollar was also going up. And that was something to be wary and be careful of in this scenario. So you see how this all ties in and experience kicks in. And then, you know, and then that's all it is, man. I mean, you know, you add all that up and here you can see we have a little miniature divergence on NAS. And then we had higher lows there, right? So they kept fighting it, not fighting it, pushing up. Once you got up here, you had a lower high with Dow. This is pretty much telling you, okay, guys, the end of the run is over. And that's kind of why that's at that top, right? So that's very key. So we're slithering down, I'll say. We have another higher high here with NAS when they just came up to raid inside. And then you got lower highs here. Notice they're getting real tight and small candles to then burst using time. All manipulation. You think they try to do this shit so that catches you off guard. They do that. That is a specific logic and narrative and method that they use out of nowhere. So this clicks on and says, when you're in this moment, what are you saying? It has to come to you and say, oh, it should come to you and probably say, oh, they're coming for these motherfuckers down here. Right? That automatically will kick in your head. You don't want to fight that instinct, right? It's a gut instinct in general, but it's also on the chart. It's not like you are guessing. It's fucking selling. Okay. So that will tie into everything we've discussed here, right? And then that's that, man. Let me just move forward here. And this is trickling back down just as a retracement. I still think this is just retracing back right now. Because everybody is trying to buy it, right? They're just trying to slow your roll. They're like, hey, now slow down, buddy. You know, get off our dick. We're gonna sweep you, right? And that's what this is what Dow is here. What's it called? Okay, look at this: buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy. Then you get the crack here. See that? So rushes down, comes back in. And there's that. There's not really much to say there. And then S&P getting real close. I love the way they announce, oh, almost all-time highs, and then they rip it lower. It's just comical. It's like they do that shit on purpose on the news. It's just hilarious. It's like you know, okay, time to go the other way. And then just kind of consolidating manipulation, and it's sitting at the top here. So it's a very interesting moment. That's why I was also telling you that it's time to step away from the chart even. I mean, you know, generally speaking, because of the seasonality of melting up with going into May, and then we'll get more of a solid retracement then. I still don't think it's done going up unless we get some continuation more down. I don't see that happening. If it does, then it's letting you know it's happening early, maybe on that diagram that I drew. Let me bring it up 1 second here. When I talked about this right here, when we were gonna be melting up here and then getting a big push up into that bigger figures here of the 27,000. This is way before we even took out the all-time high. So this is on the 14th I made this video. Today's the 23rd. So when you get up here, you're eventually going to get maybe some type of crack. Still don't think it's still happening yet. I still think we're But with the high resistance coming back here, I still don't think this. I still think we're going to go up again for some reason right now. A little too early, in my opinion, for them to do that. Oh, but I did say that the seasonality here is on the 15, that it kind of goes sideways, and it does a nice pullback, to then make maybe a final high for May to raid and then pull back. So I feel like it's just still too early for that. And then so that's the case. I think another high is going to come before we come back down again. But this is kind of what I meant by coming back up here still, and then eventually it cracking, to then retrace back in again. Not this deep. I don't know. I was just talking to give you the example. Coming into May, and then later in May, we 15th, 20th of May, whenever it happens, we, after retracing, we pull back up if we're going to return bullish and move back up, right? So that's kind of the gist there of what the conversation is. So what did I say here? Is this with yeah? So it's still it's still ranging at this point, right? So not a fun place to be, but plenty of great trades inside of this movement. But at the moment, it's more of a consolidation. I see. If we make another low, then we'll get into that previous conversation. But until then, I think this is just sideways and then expansion going again soon. Kind of like this shit bullshit here. And then you leave with an expansion. I'd like to see a consolidation and expansion. Not trying to make it hard, not trying to be a fucking constant buyer or anything, or, I'm not trying to say that, but at the same time, I don't want to just make things difficult. But again, with this sweep here, you would never want to see another high if it's bearish from here. That's all I'm saying. So, sorry. So here, you can see it's just constantly pushing up first initially. This candle says it all, obviously. Notice how big this candle is versus every single candle. And even when I was trading here, I was getting a little delirious. I was like, dude, I'm fucking done. I'm trying to go to lunch. And then sure enough, you see it. I'm like, you little bitches. That's okay, buddy. I know what you're doing. So as soon as you want to come back down, okay, buddy, we can come back and sell right at the first lower high and the first breakout of the 930. No problem, dude. I mean, candle by candle, right? Slithering down. Nice. So, what else is there to say here? Oh, did I say this? And then Nvidia, making a new high. So it did take out that high as well. And then because of that pool, right? Now you understand that you have this higher lows here. But notice how that was the agenda first. So this is experience. Everything you're doing and seeing here is just great experience, because you are going to remember this another time. Trust me. Yeah. All right, see the bodies right there? So, I think that's really it. So tomorrow's Friday here, and I expect to fizzle out, man. I really do. So not really looking to trade, because again, if you have the season, I can't show you the seasonality because this is somebody else's work, and I had to pay for it. So I'm not giving out someone's work for free, right? I give my work for free, but no, someone else's not work. But if you have seasonality, you'll see that we're knocking on a ceiling right now on the 15-year, and this is pretty much the 15-year. And again, expecting it to be this fast, maybe not, but once we make a new high, a retracement back down for some of this is very logical, and that's kind of like where we're at. So, if I was to draw, do I need to draw something? No, I can't, man, because at this point, it's a little, I don't know, but I'll do this. I'll say the least to say this. So the previous, this is still in. I'm not changing this, okay? But in addition to that, what I'm thinking here for the rest of depending on how this works, Friday I really don't see much happening. Just give me a second here. So on the 15-year, I'm definitely gonna say that it becomes the end of the month and we raid one more time. All right. And then that drawing that I mentioned starts to kick in. Okay. Okay. You understand me, right? That was pretty simple to understand. This is the if it's gonna come up one more time, popping up in here for another raid. I don't know, but I would like to just see this. I would like for this to happen myself. So linger on Friday, whatever the fuck it does, and then first of the month type of thing, pop up and then come back down. That's what I'd like to see. So, but I mean, depending on what Asia London does, you get more data then. When I see the data like this, and I already see Asia do that, that's a high resistance move. It's letting you know. It's like, okay, buddy, you know what I mean? Sitting on that 50% of the opening, of the overbought and oversold RSI, but you can see the lower high here with it as being a divergence. It's showing weakness. It's not up on an overbought. It's already a lower high here. So notice that, that's a high chance of it reversing. And then you can see with the final closure, what I'll say is no bodies. There's no bodies there. There is no bodies. Look at the 15-minute. The 5-minute you do see a little bit, but remember what I said about that brick wall here, that ceiling with the 5-minute there. So all that going on there is also showing the weakness there. So I don't think I need to say anything else, right? This is pretty good. 41 minutes is good. Yeah, man. I mean, again, let them show you what the options are. Let them show you what's now. And when you're involved in these trades, right? Understand what the second possibility is. Doesn't mean you want to talk yourself out of trades or talk yourself only into trades. What I'm trying to say is you got to be fluid. Like, and I say that all the time, you got to be able to be flexible. You have to be able to understand that I'm not married to anything. I'm just going to follow the price in a sense too. Right? I'm not saying chasing price. Chasing price would be like I'm pushing sell here and shit. You know what I mean? Like that's or some shit. That's chasing price. I'm pushing buy like here or something, right? Like that's chasing price. Following price is like, okay, this makes a high, makes a higher low. I'm following price. That's movement, and you can take trade profit before even these levels. Even here, it's movement. It's movement, right? I hope that makes sense for you. But midnight level. Dan, I know there was something else I wanted to say. Also the thing before I forget here, when we drop down at that right there in Asia, you can see we're hitting that top 25% of Wednesday's opening range gap right there. We tag it, and then we tag the 8th here. Look at how beautiful that is. Look at the body stopping right there. All right, so this is intraday. And then shooting up, sealing past it. Look how the bodies come underneath, close the way they did. You don't want to see that if you're buying. For sure. Comes through. Where does it go? Comes all the way. Before I even finish, reaches the 8th pin bar, comes back in, 8th. Comes across, hold on, comes in, plays around the bottom quadrant, trying to get everybody to sell, rips above, gives you direction of structure, comes in, stops right there. You can see it. All right, 8th, top of it, comes underneath it now, and then works its way right here, pedals off. See that? See that shit? All right, and then from that 8th, directly down to there, to the 1 minute. Now I got this crossed over. Take a look at this. You'll see it here better on a 15-minute, and you can see the 5-minute too, but the 5-minute body's right there, but the 15-minute, you'll see that we come in and we close here. We sweep above, back into, watch this, this is very key. This is an event horizon where you have that 930 level and yesterday's 930 level, and in 50%, which is actually where we are right now, which is funny. Not a coincidence. You think it's a highway with nothing there, and it's pretty much algorithmic level of 50% from that range to that range, a time-based range from 930 to that 930. So time-based range here, you can see that 50%. We smack it right there in the middle. See that? We come up first. Then we shoot down. Boom. We hit the sealment of that level. I'm not going to go into these guys here. I don't need to. You can do the back testing on that, research on that. But then we close right here. And then this next candle, this 145, opens from there, shoots down. Where? Oh, it goes back to that Friday. That Friday 930. Because remember, they're trying to shake them off. There's people only buying at 930 here. You see that? Based off of that level. They don't even look at charts. Matter of fact, they don't even look at charts. They don't even have numbers. They're literally just buying. They got fucking stop losses of down here even. All right? I'm just talking in general. So it comes to hit that level, which is the high of it. It doesn't hit the eighth. All right, comes real close to that 32 though, but or the 16th I would say. But that's the point. Snaps back and crosses over right there, and then comes right back into this. So that was the gist on, and I'll let you see it on my chart there, and there you'll see here pop up 25%, 25%. That 25% is also coupled with that 32. Uh-oh. I ain't going to go down that rabbit hole because otherwise I'd be here forever making hours of videos, right? But this is where we are here. And then, I gun on my head, where do I think the market's going to go right here? The honest answer, I don't know and don't care. That is as honest as it can get. Really. I mean, if I had to say gun to my head, I'd say up. I said the next level after coming up here, that 32 and then that 25%. But they did a good job sweeping above that main big figure there of the 2 standard deviation on the higher time frame. So very interesting, and this is where we are. So I hope this helps. You guys take care and God bless.